there we go, nice lift. Go. Hey guys, today's informational video is brought to you by the largest fireworks group on Facebook. They have over 800,000 members. I'll post a link to their page in the description, so why don't you go ahead and click the link and check them out. So today we will be making a timed report canister shell. This will be 4-inch. And some of the items you'll need is quick match, some visco fuse, some time fuse, a time fuse cutter, some cap plugs for the reports, end discs for your shell, some flax twine to spike the shell, some craft paper to make the shell casing, which is already made there. I'll be explaining how to make it later. Some black powder coated rice hulls for burst. You'll need a scale as well. Okay, so this shell will have 3 separate timings of rings going off. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut our time fuse. Our first ring will be going off at 2.5 seconds. Third ring, 3 seconds. Second ring, 3 seconds I should say. The third ring is going to go off at 3.5 seconds. And so I figured out that with my time fuse, the increments are roughly 3/4 of an inch. I go to about halfway to get 3 seconds, and then I go for the final one to about 1 inch to get 3.5 seconds. And this is just specific to my time fuse. Your time fuse may be a bit different, so you're going to have to test to see. And here you can see I have my pieces cut already. There's 2.5 seconds, 3 seconds, and 3.5 seconds. And it's going to break from inside out, so the longest timing will be on the very outside, and the 2.5 seconds is going to be on the inside. And they're roughly about 31 on the outside, might be about 20 to 25 in the middle, and then the inside there's roughly about 14 to 17. Just depends how many you could squeeze in the shell, and I will specifically go over how many fit in the shell when I'm making it. So next we have to prime the fuses. We're going to dip one end in a little bit of alcohol, dry it off, and then dip it into some meal D with 10% silicone. That really acts as a nice prime. So we're going to do this to both ends and just almost just kind of just like smash it down into the meal. And you see light prime on each end of the fuse. And just let this dry for a day or so. I mean, it'll dry in a couple hours, but so it's nice to have it dry for a day just to make sure everything's all dry. Next, a bundle of tubes are bundled up, ready to be filled with a report mixture with added titanium for effect. Warning, the report mixture is very sensitive to shock and friction and should never be made by those without experience. Once all your report tubes are filled about 3/4 of the way with report mixture, a piece of black match is stuck in the middle to help aid in ignition, and then the time fuse is squeezed down in there. A bead of super glue is used right on the outside just to secure it. So now we're going to do this to every single one. Next, 2 strands of black match are hot glued to the top of the time fuse to further prime these inserts. So what we're going to do is we're going to line the former up, make sure everything's lined up nice and straight, and then I'm going to spray just some adhesive. Make sure it goes down the middle. You don't want to get it on the sides. I just spray a nice line right down the middle and make sure you're rolling it nice and tight. Next, we're going to want to make some end discs, so just take some cardboard that you have laying around, get the former, and just trace around it. We're going to want 6 of these, so next you just cut them out. For our next part, we're going to be assembling the can shell. So take 2 of the end discs, glue them together, so you see right there. So glue them together, and do this for another side. And as you can see here, you drill a 1/4 inch hole through the middle, insert your time fuse, and then here I added a 2 inch long 1/4 inch inner diameter tube, and this is gonna go, it's gonna reach so if the pacifier goes to the middle of the shell. So that's what you do. You glue that in, and then the next step is to mark a 1/2 inch all the way around the can, and then you cut the tabs as I did here. Now we're going to be gluing in the time fuse end disc. This will be the top of our shell. It will be top fused, and what you do is you line up your end disc evenly with the 1/2 inch cut mark right there, and it helps if you get a mortar tube and you could, just place the shell on the top. And what I do is, you see how it, through the layers of when we rolled the can shell, we had 3 turns, and what this does is I glue down 1 layer strip at a time with wood glue. So you glue down 1 strip, and then you keep going around 1 strip at a time until the shell is completely glued. Once you're done priming everything, take the first ring of reports, the 3.5 second time delay, and these go on the outside of the shell. And it could be a little bit tricky getting everything in there, but I got a total of 30 reports in here, and you could use just a little piece of paper in the middle when you're putting them in to help secure everything down.